MiniWarGaming rules you got wrong.
Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, and welcome to this week's Rules You Got Wrong 40K edition. I'll be starting off, as I did do a couple of beat map bat reps last week, but thankfully my list is getting shorter, so hopefully that means I'm learning. Or maybe it's because I played Tyranids, which I'm much more familiar with. But that doesn't mean I didn't make mistakes. I think we all make mistakes when we play, and I thankfully get to learn from them. Isn't that fun? So the first one was the Tyranids vs. Ultramarines battle report. It's the one where Jason from Australia brought in the Skyhammer formation, and I tried to beat it with Tyranids. So obviously there's spoilers here. I failed, but it ended up being a really good game anyways. Now, part of the reason was because I made a little mistake, but I think overall it still would have happened the way it did. And the mistake is pointed out right away by B. Hill Each, or B. Hillich. I could be wrong here, but didn't the new FAQ state that a Psyker can only cast its number of powers equal to its mastery level? That is correct. During that devastating psychic phase, those Zoanthropes cast 3 powers: Psychic Scream, Spirit Leech, and Warp Blast. You're absolutely right. Although, I think if we remove the Warp Blast at the end, it didn't do enough damage to have shifted a lot of the game. But maybe it would have. Who knows? But yeah, that is something I totally forgot. But the Psychic Scream and Spirit Leech were still devastating, so I was happy with that. But it does kind of suck when you think about it, that because only the Zoanthropes who cast Spirit Leech can use those extra warp charges that they gain from it to cast Warp Blast, that means that they can't cast any other powers. And since they rolled Psychic Scream, now if they had rolled something like Catalyst or Onslaught, no big deal. I'd just do Spirit Leech, Warp Blast. But man, Psychic Scream, when you can drop pod them in, it's awesome. Overcast 123, no night fighting save for the Assault Marines. Tyranids certainly added it to their save first. Yeah, we forgot it. It's as simple as that. He forgot to have it. I forgot that he had it. Despot. Did I miss something? Since when did MiniWarGaming decide to use the stupid FAQs? I'm not sure if you're putting stupid in quotations because we've called it that or you call it that, but there's definitely problems with the new FAQs, but we just decided to adopt them. Now, I should point this out that because we don't film everything in sequence, like my battle report might go out before somebody else who filmed theirs. Maybe I decided to use the FAQs and somebody else didn't. We try whenever we can to state at the beginning of the battle report if we're using a new FAQ, but we're basically trying to use them all right now. But that does mean that there's even more rules to look up, and so there's more potentials for mistakes as well, because we're talking about just the 40K FAQ alone was like 40 pages, let alone then adding in all the FAQs for the different armies. And then on top of that, we might play a game, and then FAQ might come out after we play the game, but before we release it onto YouTube. So that's still going to be a little fuzzy there. Fine Slow. At 109.18, Matt chose to shoot the Tyrannocyte first, so the Termagants might be able to choose a different target. The rules for shooting the Tyrannocyte state it shoots at the end of the shooting phase, lasting the shoot. You're right. You're absolutely right. Bone Snapper. Possible rules mistake at 55.45. When a unit with Brotherhood of Psykers perils, doesn't the rules for Brotherhood of Psykers or perils say that it's always the character that suffers the wound? I might be wrong, and I don't have the rulebook handy. That is incorrect. It does not say the character. It says one model is randomly chosen. Now, for those of you that thought that I forgot to do the wound, obviously, if you continued watching, you see that I remembered to put the wound on later. But it is randomly chosen, even if there is a character. I looked it up again, because another person put that as well, saying, no, it's the character that takes it. But the Brotherhood of Psykers does not say that. It just says a randomly allocated wound. So, onto any of them. Demon 666. Don't drop pods have teleport homers, so the Marines shouldn't have scattered? You can upgrade them to have teleport homers, which in hindsight, he probably wished that he took. But they do not by default have teleport homers. Dr. Bob, you are still using the grav amps wrong. They let you reroll to wound rolls, not failed to wound rolls. Other than that, great bat rep. That one's contested, and I disagree with your interpretation of it. I can see why you say it, because I remember Fate Weaver had a power that let him like reverse time, and it said that he rerolls all, and so it was he would take all the dice and reroll them, not just the failed or the whatever. But I don't think that's the way that grav amps are supposed to be. That you reroll everything. I think that's just reroll. Where you reroll failed ones. So, like you reroll 2 wound rolls. But you could argue that you do 1 wound roll at a time or different, who knows. But yeah, most people play that you just reroll whatever you want to all the failed ones. I can see how you can think that as well. It's kind of a debate that's up there, and I wish that it was FAQ to be correct, or to be corrected so that we know one way or the other. Malactica, did you guys forget about the sabotage objective again? It was a great bat rep though, really intense. Yes, I always forget about sabotage. Sometimes I remember it, but it just does so little, so often that it's just not something that's in my mind like, ooh, sabotage, that might actually do some damage. It rarely ever does. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have done anything. I'm just saying that it's just one of those roles like Soul Blaze, where it just so rarely does something. I just wish it didn't even exist. EFNMC, this is not a rules you got wrong, but I wanted to include this anyways. When Matt plays Tyranids, there's plenty of cover. When Tower played, cover is sparse in the center of the table. When building the table, is it a joint process? And yes, us Australians take care of all before ourselves. All the best. People, I've heard this comment before. I don't build the terrain to my advantage. I like a lot of terrain. You'll notice all of my battle reports have a lot of terrain. Maybe there was one Tau battle report that you watched that happened to have less terrain in the middle. If that's the case, it wasn't because I was playing Tau. I don't know the deployment types before we even start. I don't know if we're going to do Dawn of War, Hammer and Anvil, Vanguard. I don't know if my opponent has infiltrators or anything like that. I just build the table before we even build our armies. And so that's just the way it is. Now I think about it, I built that table before I even knew I was playing Tyranids. But even if I knew I was playing Tyranids, honestly, I put a lot of terrain on the table, no matter what I'm playing or what I'm playing against. Franco Villanova, initiative check at 1 at minute 12:40 is a fail. You always fail on a 1 or succeed on a 6, other than leadership. Otherwise, why would you roll if you have initiative 6 or higher? You got it backwards, and I know that we talked about it in the comment section, but I do want to point this out to other people. A characteristic test, you got to roll equal to or under your characteristic. And so a 6 is an auto fail. A 1, I guess, is an auto pass. I don't think a 1 is an auto pass, because I think if you have a characteristic of 0, you automatically fail characteristic tests. But I don't know if I can't say that for certain, because how often do you do characteristic tests where the characteristic is 0? Like, what has a characteristic of 0 that you'd be doing a test against? Not quite sure what that would be. David Mofat, Matt, at about 41:30, your pod comes in, the Tyranid, and I thought that you would be obligated to correct the shortest distance to avoid the mishap, not just land where you wanted because you scattered onto his unit. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but the way you reacted to having a perfect landing made it seem more suspect. The way that they work is basically, let's say this is an enemy or impassable, or even my stuff. You drop the pod in here, whether it's a drop pod or Tyranid, basically they work the same way, or whether it's a Trigon for that matter. Let's say it scatters to here, you reduce the scatter distance. So let's say it scattered all the way to here. The shortest distance, of course, would be to put it right here. But the rule is that you reduce the scatter distance until it's an inch away. So if it's coming this way, you kind of see that line, you bring it back. Same thing with drop pods, Trigons. Not sure what else would use that too, but same idea. So it was a perfect landing because it allowed me to come back right in front of them and then drop the guys right beside there, allowing me to put them there. But Tyranids are really good transports because unlike other transports, you don't disembark from them. You just place models within 6 inches. So you don't have to worry about difficult terrain or things like that that would slow down guys coming out. So you just, or even if there's a wall, you can just place guys on the other side. So it works different. It should just be like disembarking, but their wording is just place models within 6 inches. So it gives you a lot of control over where you can put them. That's it for that battle report. Now I did have my Vault one as well, but there's only a couple things pointed out in that one. Tyranids versus Chaos Demons. And the first one was actually pointed out by the person who came into play, because we noticed that at the end of the game where he told me, Elgran Yoi, or however you say that username. One mistake done during the game, the summoned Daemonettes, we played them with the bonus of the formation by mistake, forgetting they were summoned. So he had a formation. I can't remember everything it did, but the Daemonettes basically got a bonus in close combat, which was a really good, I think it gave them, was it an extra initiative or an extra weapon skill? Something like that. It was a good bonus, and it made a difference in the game. But then he summoned in more Daemonettes. Now when you summon in models, they do not belong to any formation or detachment, therefore they cannot take any of the advantages from those formations and detachments. Only exception, of course, is, I don't know why, in the FAQ for the Tyranids, at Turbogon, when he summons or creates Gaunts, if he's from a combined arms detachment or an allied detachment, then they have objective secured, which is really weird. I don't know why they did that. Hopefully that's an error and they just remove it. But a summoned creature is not part of any formation or detachment, and therefore does not benefit from those rules. So those Daemonettes wouldn't have gotten those rules. Don't know if it would have made a big difference, but it would have made a difference. Oni Fizi, oh no, at 1 hour 10 minutes in which you failed the demonic instability with your beasts, you still could have done your feel no pain rolls to prevent it. Probably wouldn't have changed much, admittedly, but still. Yeah, that is something that you forgot as well. And that's it. So let's move on to our other battle reports.
This is for the Ultramarine vs. Khorne Daemonkin Battle Report, Episode 71. Briggs28 says, Quirk, after the 16-minute mark, you overwatch with the Centurions, but they are slow and purposeful, so no overwatch for them. As always, though, great battle report, and you guys are awesome. You are absolutely right. I keep forgetting that the Centurions are slow and purposeful. That's something I need to hammer into my mind. Uni Fees, couple of rules mistakes, though still enjoyable to watch. The Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage going down on the Centurions was predictable, albeit heartbreaking, but summoning another Insensate Rage through Blood Ties as it appears at 26 minutes and 10 seconds isn't actually impossible, as it specifically says you can only summon those of Unfeathered Fury on page 111 in the Chaos Demons Codex, i.e. the standard Bloodthirster. You are absolutely right. That was a little hiccup on our part. He summoned another one, and then I guess he just forgot that it was supposed to be Unfeathered Fury instead of Insensate Rage, and just kept playing it as that. It was something that I knew, and I just kind of completely spaced on it while it was happening, so. Defraris 1987. At 9 minutes and 30 seconds, you fired the 10-inch blast, which requires all of Vindicators to be in a squadron, but later at 22 minutes, you fired the second Vindicator at a different target from the first, which you would not have been allowed to, as vehicle squadrons must fire at the same target. Yeah, you're right. That was my bad. I forgot that a squadron has to all fire at the same target. My bad. Azik Ahriman. At 21 minutes and 40 seconds, one of the Land Raider's weapons had to snap fire as it moved 6 inches, thus can only fire one weapon normally, and another one using the power of the Machine Spirit. The third weapon should have snap fired. Yep, again, I keep forgetting that it's not a fast vehicle, so it can't fire everything if it moves. That's just something that slipped my mind. S. Dark Horse. At 23 minutes and 32 seconds, Quirk wounded the bike on 4+, not 5. He should have, since the bikes give Marines toughness 5. Yep. Again, little slip on my part, moving really fast, rolling the dice. So, at 18 minutes and 35 seconds, the Fleshhounds did not take the initiative penalty for charging through terrain against the Devastators. Beasts only ignore the -2 distance and not the other penalties for charging through cover. To be honest, I always forget the charging through cover thing because it seems like everything right now has some sort of assault grenade. So, yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to watch out for, not just for the Fleshhounds, but for everything. Malin, rules you got wrong. At 9 minutes 40 seconds, the Fleshhounds hit the big Vindicator. Ooh. The Fleshhounds hit from the big Vindicator should have removed from where the blast hit, not the closest ones. Yeah, you're right. It is ordnance, so. As Dark Horse, 29 minutes and 53 seconds. The Spawn are separate units, so the majority weapon skill for them did not change. Yeah, you're right. Again, just messed that one up. That's actually a little one, but I should have caught that. At 15 minutes and 35 seconds, Quirk stated the grab weapon would have been wounding on a 5+. This is incorrect since Fleshhounds have a 6-up save, not that it had any effect since the wound was since a 6 was rolled to wound. Yeah, I keep thinking they're 5-up for some reason because I just associate them with all Chaos Demons, which is wrong, and I need to not do that. At about 4 minutes and 36 seconds, move through cover was ruled for the Cornhound, the unit attached to the Herald Juggernaut. Both ignore terrain for movement, but the Heralds have to take a dangerous terrain, which was not done. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm just remembering that game, and yeah, I didn't make him do that. D Summoners, unless I'm mistaken, at 33 minutes and 14 seconds, you moved your Land Raider and shot both cannons at full blaze skill. Okay, yeah, we already covered that one where I just forgot it was something else. Blight 2, unless the Bloodthirster was summoned, he has to come in flying if you put him in Deep Strike reserves. Yeah, that's just a little thing that... Actually, I didn't even know that because I never summoned anything that flies. When you fired the grav at the bikes, it was from regular grav guns, right? Those don't have grav amps, only grav cannons have those. Yeah, you're right. I just out of force of habit, because I always bring grav amps on everything, I just automatically rolled it without even thinking. Freshalab, at 17 minutes and 59 seconds, when the Fleshhounds auto hit since the Vindicators did not move last turn. No, that is not correct. You're thinking of an older edition. Even the only way that you automatically hit a vehicle is if it is immobilized. If it hasn't been immobilized, you always treat it as having weapon skill 1. Ultramarine, at 20 minutes and 54 seconds, you don't roll for the drop pod. You didn't roll for the drop pod to come in. It comes in automatically with drop pod assault. Yeah, I think I just forgot about it at that point and then treated it as regular reserve because I wasn't even paying attention. I was too distracted by the gorgeous Fleshhound models. And lastly, Irish Kiga 84. Also, Quirk does not get to allocate wounds in combat. His opponent can choose who to put wounds on. Not quite. There's 2 different rules for that. What happens is when your opponent causes wounds, he basically generates a wound pool. So if he has something that are wounds at AP 2 and then wounds that are AP 3 and wounds that are AP nothing, he can basically put those into pools and tell me which ones to deal with first. But it's always the closest model in combat that has to get removed. So if you have multiple models in like that are closest, the owner of those gets to pick who gets pulled and who has to take those saves. So Chaos Knights versus Harlequins Warhammer 40k Battle Report Episode 72. Blippity blip. Yeah. Did I see a heavy stubber penetrating on a dice roll of 4? Pretty certain it's strength 4, thus 6s to glance. You are absolutely correct. I have no excuse for that. I thought they were strength 6 for some reason. Mogai. You don't have to reroll successful saves against D weapons. Also, a 2 through 5, the D weapon does D3 wounds. You didn't roll to see how strong it is. Yeah, I at that point was still struggling with the D table, so I wasn't completely sure on how it worked. Now I know, and I won't have that happen again. A 2 through 5 is basically D3 wounds, and you roll for the strength of it. It's usually on a 2 through 5, I believe it's strength 6. So yeah, and the reroll successful saves, that's just out of habit. I always think, okay, I'm getting hit with the strength D, I have to reroll my invulns. So Azik Araman, 27 minutes. You should have rolled to wound the Harlequins from the Knight exploding. You rolled the cataphract damage table to determine the strength of the explosion as well. Yep, again, struggling with strength D, but I'm getting my head around it. Lee Bother, Bloodthirsters cannot charge. It is swooping. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he put that down into essentially the hover mode for flyers, which I can't think of right now. But I didn't think I caught it on camera. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned that. I just didn't catch the recording of it, or it cut too early. Also, at 22 minutes, you cannot charge out of a wrecked rhino. You are absolutely correct. Rhinos are not assault vehicles, so even if it's wrecked, you can't assault. Azik Ariman, 26 minutes. You add +2, not 1, for an AP1 weapon. Both 5s were 7s, not 6s. The 7th edition, a 7 is an explode result on the vehicle damage table, not 6th. Both mistakes canceled out at the end. Fair enough, but yeah, you are right. AP1 is +2. I think that wasn't even me thinking about that. I just forgot what the AP value of the weapon was. Also, for an explodes result, you deal D3 pardon me. Also, for an explodes result, you deal D3 hull points on top of the ones caused by penetrating hits. So that knight suffered 7 hull points, not 5, and should have exploded. Yeah, well, at the end I still shot it again, and it ended up exploding. But yeah, you're right. It is supposed to be a D3 hull points. Or sorry, an additional D3 hull points. Mogai, Stubbers are strength 4, Shuriken Cannons are strength 6, so glancing the rhinos on 5s. Please fully learn the rules of your army quirk. Ouch, man. Yeah, I know Shuriken Cannons are strength 6 now. That kind of got hammered into my head. I think that was me just mathing wrong. At 14 minutes and 26 seconds, Solitaire couldn't charge due to infiltrate. First turn you forgot all Harlequin vehicles have Mirage launchers, which gives you a jink save without jinking. I think it would have saved 2 bikes. You are absolutely right. I tend to tactics-wise try and hold on to my Mirage launchers until it's like a key point there. But looking back at it, yeah, I definitely should have fired those off, because it doesn't give you a 4-up jink without jinking. It basically bumps your 5-up invuln to a 4-up invuln. So, as for the Solitaire charging, that was it just slipping my mind. I forgot that I brought the Hero's Path formation and infiltrated him, and then when I actually used him, I was like, oh, yeah, I totally forgot that I infiltrated with him. So, and last one here, Marja999. At 21 minutes, Skyweavers fall back 3d6, not 2d6. You are right, because, well, it's a vehicle, and it's a skimmer, and it's fast, so it should go back d3 inches. So that one was just a complete brain slip. I think I just grabbed 2 dice and rolled it. So pretty sure it's still fleet off the board anyway. But so there you go, guys. That's the rules you got wrong for Quirks Battle Reports.
That's it for this week's episode of Rules You Got Wrong 40k edition. Make sure you leave your rules pointing out the thing that you think we got wrong. Try to put timestamps as well, and be kind. We're trying the best we can. We work really hard to make as good battle reports as we can, but mistakes will always be made. I can guarantee that. Thanks for watching. Happy wargaming.